From the Weather NorCal Command Center, this is your Evening Update.
Daniels Roofing, licensed, bonded, insured roofing contractor. 45 years of generational expertise, offering a variety of roofing systems in the North State. Composition shingles, metal, tile, fire-safe wood shingles, and spray foam roofing systems. An energy-saving cool roof, perfect for commercial flat roofs and mobile homes. With other companies, you may get a foreman or a salesman, but with Daniels Roofing, you get Daniel. Call today for your free estimate. Daniels Roofing, 3 generations working hard to protect your home and business.
Good evening, everyone. I'm meteorologist Mike Krueger. Happy Friday evening to you. You know, temperatures will start to drop after today. Today was that last little kick from summer saying, I'm still here. I'm going to give you some hot temperatures. But after today, temperatures are going to start to drop. We're also going to see temperatures drying out, staying dry for the weekend here. But I expect significantly cooler weather for especially early next week, and some rain making its way back into the forecast as well. So we have a lot to talk about in our deeper dive forecast, but before we get to that, let's take a look at your Krueger's Quickcast for your Friday, September 26th. Just a quick look at your forecast for tonight and tomorrow. Low to mid 60s for the valley tonight, 30s, 40s for the higher elevations. Clear skies really across the board. Even the coast, most likely seeing those clear skies here for tonight. Maybe some fog developing around, say, Humboldt Bay, Eureka, for example. Out the door tomorrow morning. All right, just kicking off that weekend. Maybe some an outdoor jog, or you going for a bike ride or a hike, or maybe the dog for a walk. And temperature should be somewhere in the mid 60s by 8 o'clock in the morning here for the valley. 40s and 50s for the higher elevations. As I mentioned, maybe some patchy fog around Eureka, but otherwise mainly clear skies through a good portion of the day tomorrow on the coast. Big ridge of high pressure, that's what's in place here for today, but that's going to start to break down over the weekend and allow our temperatures to start to slowly drop. Let's take a look at futurecast here, at least through tomorrow. And again, what we're noticing here is, some fog developing around Humboldt Bay tonight and tomorrow morning. You see the fog bank here off the coast. That's going to work its way in through the day on Saturday. I still think many of us will see some sunshine through the afternoon on Saturday on the coast. But it looks like by the late afternoon, evening, we start to see that fog bank really kind of kick in along the coast here, and even some of those inland valleys as well. So that's what it looks like for Saturday. And then, of course, Sunday, probably even more clouds for even the inland areas and the coast, and the mountains and even the valley. But more on that a little bit later. For your Saturday, again, plenty of sunshine. Temperature still on the warm side for the valley in the low 90s, upper 80s, low 90s. 80s for the higher elevations, although for Trinity County, inland areas in the low to mid 90s, and looks like in the mid 60s for the coast. All right, taking a look at your 7-day forecast for the valley. Temperatures starting to drop over the weekend. We're down to the upper 70s on Sunday. The main event for rain looks to be Monday and Tuesday, with a few lingering showers on Wednesday, which we'll get into that a little bit later. That's also the case for the coast. But the thing is, lingering showers Wednesday, and maybe even lingering into your Thursday for the North Coast as well. For Siskiyou County, the main event will be Monday, Tuesday, some lingering showers on Wednesday. We could see, in advance of the storm, maybe some showers around eastern Modoc and eastern Lassen and Plumas counties. Not really associated with the storm that's approaching, but just some moisture and maybe some afternoon convection, but otherwise cooler across the board as we do go into next week. All right, that's a look at your Krueger's Quickcast. Let's take a quick look at the fire conditions sponsored by Garmin's Tractor Service. And, we were talking about that red flag warning here for today. The winds are expected to subside overnight tonight and into tomorrow morning. Now, they're going to pick back up tomorrow afternoon, but not as strong as they were today. Generally around 15 to 20 miles per hour, and from the south. A south wind is the key. It doesn't tend to be as dry as a north wind. We take a look at your Sunday morning. Looks like it's a little gusty already out at Shasta Valley in central Siskiyou County there through the day on Sunday. The thing is, though, even though our winds are picking up, as you can see, even for the valley, not terribly concerned about high fire weather risk. That's because the relative humidity levels are going to be increasing through the weekend. I'll show you what I'm talking about. So here we are Saturday. We have that moderate fire weather risk for the areas in yellow. Notice it's still quite dry, but it's not as dry as we're seeing today, probably somewhere in the mid-teens for the valley. Take a look at Sunday. Sunday afternoon, you're seeing humidity levels more like 30%. It's actually going to feel a bit more muggy than we're used to around here, but that also decreases our fire weather risk. So that certainly is some good news. All right, let's get you into your deeper dive forecast for your Friday, September 26th. We're going to really dive deep into our chances for rain next week, because that's really what I think a lot of our eyes are on. A lot of people are talking about and thinking about. We've got cooler temperatures in the forecast. So as usual, we start with where we really like to start with the story, and that is the satellite image. So what we saw today, or last night and early this morning, is this cold front moves through. A very weak boundary really is what it was. That helped to give us what we call a stronger pressure gradients and those gusty winds. As that moves on out, we had that high pressure move in. It gave us the hot temperatures today. But what we're going to start to see happen is as this ridge moves off to the east, this cooler air right here is going to start to slowly migrate in our direction. So as it does that, temperatures will start to drop by tomorrow, and especially by the time we get into Sunday, Monday. Let's take a look at Futurecast here through the weekend. So we were mentioning that that fog is going to return around Humboldt Bay tomorrow morning, and then you can see 8 a.m. We're seeing even out towards north of Humboldt, north of Eureka, that is in northern Humboldt. But really, it's going to be patchy fog most likely in this area here. This is the main fog bank that we're seeing. That's going to be working its way in through the day on Saturday. And I would anticipate that by the late part of the day on Saturday into Saturday evening, we're going to be looking at fog really up and down the coast here, and even working its way into some of those inland valleys as well. Then we go into your Saturday night into Sunday morning. I mean, we're inundated with that fog here along the coast here, even down into southern Humboldt County as well. What you're noticing, though, as we go through the day on Sunday, you see the clouds. They're going to be on the increase. And by the way, we even may see some breaks in those clouds here along the coast here, but otherwise mostly cloudy skies. But notice the clouds are on the increase here. The thing is, and the European forecast model has been pretty aggressive with this, and I still have a little bit of confidence that maybe parts of eastern Modoc, Lassen, and Plumas counties on Sunday afternoon could see some afternoon convection. That's the daytime heating through the day on Sunday. That can rise and create some showers, maybe a few thunderstorms. We're seeing that in Nevada, so some of that could creep its way westward into extreme eastern Northern California. But at this point, don't cancel any outdoor plans, just note that that's something we've got to watch. But more clouds, I think we'll even see some clouds even for the valley, but dry for pretty much everyone else today on Sunday. This is what we got our eyes on Sunday night into Monday. The timing of it is something we'll be, of course, watching very closely. Meteorologist Chase Wilson will be in over the weekend to give you updates on that. But as it stands right now, looking at the GFS, the American forecast model, here's that first punch of rain that'll be pushing through. Now, as we typically see, it holds on to its strength over the ocean, and once it hits the coast, we see some pretty decent rainfall. This is going to hit the coastal range. You see the yellows and the dark greens, that's the heavier rainfall that we're going to see along the coast and even some of the inland areas. But then, you see that? By the time we get into midday on Monday, that cold front will significantly weaken. The rain won't be quite as heavy. That said, on Monday, the coast, mountains, and valley could all see a chance for some thunderstorms as this cold front passes through. Now, we've got another little batch of moisture right here, which is still in its developing phases. It's going to gain its strength and really begin to develop. You see the area of low pressure developing up here, spinning, creating that typical comet shape with these storm systems. You've got that cold front right here. I think Tuesday's storm system will, number one, have a little bit more moisture associated with it. And I think it's going to pack a little bit of a bigger punch. So I do think we're going to even see some heavier rainfall midday Tuesday for the coast. But once again, it's going to hit that coastal range, and you see how it breaks apart. You see how it's not quite as strong. So the rain won't be quite as heavy in the valley or even off into the northeastern mountains as well. Now, another thing to keep in mind as these cold fronts pass through, it will be gusty at times come Monday and Tuesday. And as I mentioned, Monday thunderstorms are a possibility. That's also the case on Tuesday. Now, once this system passes and we go into Wednesday, we're going to be looking at just some leftover cool and unstable air. There's only two cold fronts that we've got our eyes on. The third day, which is Wednesday, is just going to be the cool and unstable air. That's going to give us some scattered showers. I don't anticipate any thunderstorms Wednesday, but that's something worth watching. The main area of low pressure is still to our north. We've got that cooler air really filtering in. But then, as we go into Thursday, there may be some leftover showers, maybe around, along the coast, some of the inland areas, but otherwise, everyone else is dry for Thursday and Friday. And it looks like this will most likely weaken because we have a ridge of high pressure right here. Even going into that next weekend, it'll most likely be dry as well. I typically don't like to show forecast rainfall totals and estimates because they tend to be way off, and they may be way off again, but based on what I'm seeing here, I'm actually pretty happy with these numbers. I mean, there still needs to be some adjustment here and there, but I would say anywhere from, say, 1/4 to 1/2 inch in the valley once all is said and done, Monday and Tuesday. And I would say the north end of the valley will probably see a little bit more. Now, one of the other things I like to point out is don't take these numbers to be exact. I like to just point out what I call the footprint. Where's the heaviest rainfall? Well, we're seeing the darker shades of green. And I think to the north and west of the valley, say around Del Norte, western Siskiyou, northern Humboldt, even in northern Trinity and northern Humboldt, this typical area right here sees the most amount of rainfall. You head to the south of that, even into southern Humboldt, southern Trinity, you tend to see less rainfall. And that certainly is an alignment right here, right? And we tend to see as that cold front moves over the coastal range, it breaks apart, it loses a lot of its energy. So you start heading to the east of that, especially in the valley, we tend to get shadowed a little bit from those storm systems. Still get the rain, just not as much. And then we really see a lot less rainfall to the north and east. So again, 1/4 to 1/2 inch. As I'm talking about this on Friday, we'll see as we go into Monday, Tuesday, maybe 1 to close to 2 inches of rain kind of in that area to the north and west, and then much less off to the north and east, maybe 1/10 to upwards of 1/4 of an inch of rainfall for places like Alturas and Aden and southward. But kind of switching gears now and talking about the temperatures, it's been hot this week. It's been the first full day of fall and it hasn't felt like it. But this heat right here, that's going to be moving on out. We've got cooler air to our west. That's what's going to be moving on in. That's a look at Sunday. And then we go into Monday, Tuesday. You see these kind of disturbances just kind of rotating around the area of low pressure. The core of the low is still to our north. The core of the cooler air is still to our north. But it is pooling down into Northern California. And that's why we expect only upper 60s, mid to upper 60s for the valley by around Tuesday, Wednesday before they start to slowly increase again toward the end of next week. That cooler air pushes to the east. We've got a weak ridge building in. That's going to allow our temperatures to increase. But the good news is, even though temperatures are increasing, it's not going to be by a whole lot. Let's take a look at that 10-day trend. So temperatures starting to drop, especially by Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We're talking 65 to 70 for those daytime highs for those 3 days. They start to kind of creep back up. And you see how it just kind of levels out in the mid 80s and maybe even starts to drop again after that. The normal high is about 89. We should stay below that. So we may be done with that summer heat. We'll see. But it's certainly promising, isn't it? We take a look at those wave heights. They are starting to slowly show signs of drop, of subsiding, that is. You can see that's the case even on Sunday, dropping even more. So we look at our neighborhood forecast, sponsored in part by Dignity Health. In Trinity County, still a warm day. I mean, we're talking about some upper 80s, low 90s for your daytime highs. Now, when you look at the 7-day forecast for each region, just take note that the 2 main days of rainfall for everyone, coast, mountains, valley, is Monday, Tuesday. Anything before or after that is just going to be a slight chance. So for places like Trinity County, I think you're dry all the way through the weekend. It's Monday, Tuesday. But again, it's Wednesday that there may be some leftover showers for everyone as well. We take a look at your Dignity Health neighborhood forecast for the coast. You see 88 degrees for Alder Point for your Saturday, 69 degrees in Blue Lake. Let's take you up to the north, 83 for Gas Key, still in the low to even some mid-90s for some of the inland areas with 91 for Orleans and 94 degrees in Willow Creek. Your Dignity Health Siskiyou County neighborhood forecast. So again, it's Monday, Tuesday, the main event, maybe a stray shower on Wednesday. Otherwise, for your Saturday, you're looking at mainly sunny skies and temperatures in the 80s for most of you. Take a look at your Modoc County neighborhood forecast. Now, on Sunday, I have included a slight chance. For Sunday, okay, we're talking about Sunday now, Calpines, Alturas, Fort Bidwell, Cedarville, Eagleville, all seeing that chance for a stray shower late in the afternoon on Sunday. Otherwise, dry through the weekend and then better chances for rain by Monday. We take you down to the south. Again, we're talking about Sunday now, right? I'd say for Lake Elminor, Lassen Park, all this area here, slight chance for a stray shower, off chance for thunderstorm Sunday afternoon. Everyone else should be dry through the weekend. But again, it's Monday, Tuesday, the main event, then maybe some stray showers on Wednesday. All right, let's take a look at your Dignity Health Valley neighborhood forecast to the south. Temperatures here in the upper 80s to about 90. Monday, there's that rain, more rain on Tuesday. And by the way, the rain we're talking about, but also some isolated thunderstorms in the forecast for everyone, valley, mountains, and coast. Your 7-day forecast for Chico, maybe a lingering shower on Wednesday, drying out and warming up by the end of next week. Let's take you up to the north, 92 degrees for Redding, as well as Anderson and Cottonwood, 91 for Red Bluff. Lakehead, about 88 degrees and 87 degrees in Whiskeytown. Let's take a look at your 7-day forecast for Redding. We've got those temperatures dropping down significantly. This is the temperatures we've been waiting for. 65 degrees on Tuesday, and then back in the upper 70s for Thursday and mid-80s by Friday. That is your evening update. I will be back on Monday, but through the weekend, be sure to check in with Chase Wilson. He'll have your updates 3 times a day, 6 a.m., noon, and 6 p.m. on Saturday and Sunday. He'll keep you updated with this approaching storm system, these approaching storm systems for Monday and Tuesday throughout the weekend. In the meantime, have a great weekend, and we'll see you on Monday.
At Wind River Resort and Casino, we like to celebrate life's little moments. Oh, and the big ones too, because around here, when you're completely in the moment, that's when the magic happens. Come in and find your moment at Wind River Resort and Casino.